Good afternoon or good evening, whenever you're watching us. Welcome to the Lambeau Speak. This is episode number 13. This is a Toilets Titles Podcast Network production. We appreciate you tuning in. You can find myself on Twitter at Nate_Dirt19. And of course, I'm joined by my good buddy Bobby. You can find him on Twitter at Bobby A. Winter. How you doing tonight, man?
Oh, I'm doing good, dude. How are you?
Doing well. You know, it's unbelievably hot in Illinois right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like 108 today.
Holy.
I think it's supposed to be like hotter tomorrow and hotter Thursday. So
What?
got a couple long days left, and then it's going to be like 80 this weekend. So ready for the weekend to be here. You know, get a little more football,
For
get
sure.
closer to, the real thing. And
Yeah.
not like it takes your breath away when you walk out of the house at 6:30 in the morning. It's pretty miserable. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gotten a little more mild here in Jersey. We had I think it was like 2 weeks ago where it was in the 90s or close to 100 like every single day. And then I took a trip to Florida and it was like 90 to 100 every single day afterwards. So I had a good stretch of 10 days where it was like blistering heat, but it was good times, man. Gotta love the summertime.
Yeah, I always make jokes like people, want to go to Florida. It's in like June or whatever. I'm like, it's hot here. I don't need to go where it's hotter.
True story. Yeah, I was down there visiting family.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love going to Florida regardless.
Oh yeah,
it's just,
it was beautiful.
When it's miserable here, it's more miserable down there. So
yeah, I was in the ocean, dude. The ocean was like 88 degrees at 1 a.m. I was out at a bar and my cousin turned to me. He was like, dude, you want to jump in the ocean? I was like, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Went swimming in the ocean at 1 a.m. Didn't realize that there was a shark advisory going on. So escaped near death.
That's fine. I mean, you don't
awesome.
even all boozed up, thin blood, get bit, and then like there's 1,000 sharks because the blood's going out real fast. So no big deal.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll live to see another day.
That's right. So you can find a show on Twitter at Toilets Titles. If you're looking for the rest of our content, all the articles, mock drafts, player rankings, all our episodes, everything like that, anything we do, toiletstiles.com. Check the website out. It's great. Tons of stuff on there. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button. We would appreciate that. Also, the little bell so you know when we go live. Really ramping up for the regular season to start. I don't have an exact number of shows, but I know there will be multiple shows a day, some of the days. So, yeah, tons of stuff coming down the pipeline. Also, check out our sister network, CFB Nation. They have a YouTube channel, CFB Nation. You can find them on Twitter. I just saw Nino today. He's going to like 7 Boston College games, like with credentials and stuff like that. And he's not the only one from College Football Nation that have on-field credentials. I know Coach Sheps has them for Army. I couldn't tell you all the schools that they're going to be going to. So really cool stuff. Again, grossly underfollowed account. Check them out. They bust their ass and put out a ton of good content. If you are listening to us on Apple, we would love a 5-star review if you think we're worth it. And the last thing too, our Gilded Chat, up over 200 members now. It is lively all day long. If you want to get in there, talk NFL, football, fantasy football, gambling, anything. We do all our mock drafts, get lined up in there. We're doing some best ball leagues. It comes from there. The Frankenstein League chats are all in there. It's free to be a part of. Hit us up if you'd like to join. And I know, like I said, it seems like it's growing every day. And there's always, if you're not checking it, you're missing stuff. And it's not, you can go back and check it all. But it's been a lot of fun to see it grow like it has, because we haven't had that Gilded Chat very long. It's not Discord, in my opinion. I have Discord for other stuff. Yeah. Gilded is 10 times better than Discord is. So
yeah, I was going to say lively is an understatement. I had the push notifications on my phone. I had to silence them because of how much stuff we're all talking about in there. It's awesome. Yeah, if you're into football or really anything like that, like we talk about other stuff in there too. It's awesome. I highly recommend you guys check it out if you haven't.
Yep, it's a good time. So last Saturday, the New England Patriots were in town. Got beat 21-17. Game was called early. With a pretty serious injury. It was scary to see, but thankfully he is okay. He went home Sunday. So flew home with the team. I don't know anything else really about that situation as far as the future there. I know they canceled I think whoever they're playing this week, I just saw it. But anyways, they canceled practice with him. So, but yeah, hopefully T's and P's him. It seems like everything's going to be okay, but still scary. It's what, it's not that you're used to it, but it's, anytime it happens, seeing a guy get on a stretcher just kind of freaks you out.
Yeah. Well, especially after what happened last season. I feel like that was kind of like a moment in the NFL. It was like a defining moment in the history, and the NFL was deciding from there on out how they were going to treat these situations. Because, I mean, we've seen it even with past Packers players. People have been taken out on stretchers, and what they do, they just, all right, man. And then they just keep playing the game, So like, it's a lot, for like the mental health of the players. Cause it's like, they're not just teammates, man. Like they're friends, like they're brothers, you know what I mean? Like they're supposed to be a family. And when you see one of your friends, like on a stretcher and you don't know if he's like really okay, like how are you supposed to concentrate and do your job? It's just like anybody else in the world. If something's going on in your life, like sometimes it's really hard to focus on your job. You know what I mean? So, and they're professional athletes. I mean, they need to have their mind and body 100% in the game, So it's a lot. It's a tall task,
Yeah, it is. But there were some good things I saw in the game that I liked.
Me too.
Some things that were, I felt that this game, and I don't know, I feel like we talked about this, maybe not, but the Patriots seem like they have some things they're trying to figure out too, just like the Packers.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of ones in there. I watched a couple other games and there was not very many ones, which kind of whatever. It's preseason. You do what you want. Don't care. But,
Sure.
It seemed like there was a lot of, the first series there, a lot of guys that, they're playing. I thought that the long pass down the field that I didn't think it was a catch at first, and he challenged it, and then I started watching. I was like, "Oh,
me neither."
That was a catch.
Yeah, when he challenged it, I was like, "Why is he challenging that?" And when I saw it, I was like, "Great challenge, Maddie! Great challenge!"
Yeah, yeah. So it worked out good. That touchdown throw to Jaden Reed. I was sitting there watching, and I had to watch on my iPad because I don't get I don't remember what my local game was on. Doesn't even matter. But I remember, I was pumped. AJ Dillon threw that block and gave him an extra second, and he hits Jaden Reed for the touchdown. And there's something about it that looked so comfortable. And, I get it, it's preseason, but it felt different, I guess, than it has.
No, I agree. I mean, honestly, that catch, that whole play just kind of highlights, I think, why they took Jaden Reed in the second. He's got really good hands, and even where he caught it, like if you saw, he plucked it high. You know what I mean? Jordan obviously threw it there on purpose. You know what I mean? He wanted to lead him because the guy was literally like a foot behind him, but he wanted to make sure that he had enough room to catch it and also not break his stride so we can run into the end zone. And just Jaden Reed and his contested catch ability. I know it wasn't like the guy wasn't draped over top of him, but I feel like that kind of highlights what the Packers were looking for when they drafted him. He's quick enough. He's got enough boogie to like do this slot receiver role. And man, I think he looks really good. I think he looks legit. Like he's clearly wide receiver 3 on this team right now. Samori Toure is not, in my opinion.
No. And he shows some flashes, but there's a lot left to be desired. I think that
I agree.
Clearly Jaden Reed's the third guy.
Yeah.
So we'll see what their plan is going forward, I guess. Obviously, my favorite part of the entire day was Kingsley Enagbare just being a monster. I've been saying that, I think I said it before you and I started our show, like how much like that was my favorite pick of the draft, like continues to be. He's played so well and just looked great. They're going to be hard pressed to, I guess they'll have a nice rotation of 4 guys if they want.
Oh yeah.
When Rashawn Gary's back. Yeah, at least 4. So
yeah, I mean, this game especially showed how deep they are at that position. I mean, he was dominant. He had 2 sacks. One of them was a strip sack, and he recovered his own strip sack. Like, yeah, he was a menace out there. He looked awesome. And that's why we are a Kingsley Enagbare stan podcast.
That's our favorite guy. We probably both need to get
100%.
something.
Yes.
I've DM'd him, try to get on the show. I'm just gonna keep trying. Maybe he'll answer. I don't know.
Maybe we have to start calling him JJ, and then he'll come on the show.
Yeah, see, they call him on TV sometimes.
Yeah, because I guess he prefers JJ. But
okay, well then JJ it is.
Yeah. All right. If JJ gets us on the show or gets him on the show, then let's do it.
I'd be a happy man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. One thing I thought Carrington Valentine did not look as good this week as he did the week before. He's a rookie. He's going to have that. That's how it's going to be. I think this whole season will be that way, regardless of player, whatever. I think there's going to be some ups and downs. With everybody being as young as they are, and he's like I think I said last week, pretty sure he's the youngest guy on the team at. He's 21 years old. So, he still had 2 tackles, a couple pass deflections, but, they definitely seemed like they were going at him.
Yeah. And you never know too. Like, I feel like sometimes in the preseason, the coaches kind of talk and they want to get like an evaluation of certain players and stuff. So they'll be like, hey, listen, like this is a guy that we really are trying to, and then they can target him or, I'm sure they have conversation before. Cause like, it's not like the game matters, you know what I mean? So, and speaking of guys who kind of like came down from grace, Emmanuel Wilson, obviously his production in the last game was just obscene. He was like 6 attempts for 100 and something yards and 2 touchdowns. So obviously it's not like we were supposed to expect him to replicate that again this week, but he looked good,
He still averaged over 4 yards to carry. I'll take that every day.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, what's his name? Aaron Jones does that in his sleep though. You know what I mean? So that brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk about is like, who is RB3, right? So Emmanuel Wilson has emerged this year, right? We've had Tyler Goodson, we've had Patrick Taylor, but in my opinion, it doesn't really matter who running back 3 is because like last year they didn't carry a running back 3 on the opening roster. With how big the practice squad can be now and how easily replaceable the position is, I think that they should throw all 3 of them on there because even if you lose one, I don't think their skill sets or their production or level of skill is vastly different than one another, where there's one where you're like, oh, we just can't lose him. We should put him on the active roster. It's like, no, Patrick Taylor and Tyler Goodson are both good RB3s as well. Even if you do lose Emmanuel Wilson, like I'm not losing sleep over it. We have Aaron Jones.
and I think that when, because they might have carried 3 running backs on a game day roster once last year or twice, if I can remember.
Right.
With the Emmanuel Wilson's production in the preseason, I feel like he'll probably get picked off the practice squad, but I almost like Patrick Taylor's, he has some, real game experience.
Yeah.
And I think that to me, I like that. And I've always, like I said, I've been a kind of a Patrick Taylor fan. Just, he seems like he's he's a good special teamer. And carrying 2 there so we can have more receivers or tackles. I don't think they'll have 3 quarterbacks dressed.
No. Well, actually, with the new rule, I think you're allowed to, right? Didn't they just pass a rule where the 3rd quarterback doesn't count as a roster spot anymore?
Oh, well, maybe.
I know they were talking about it.
I guess that's the Trey Lance rule, so they can dress him and they don't feel dumb. That's what I'm going to call it.
Yeah, they approved it.
Because
they approved it like a week or 2 ago.
Probably shouldn't even be on the field, but it's fine.
Yeah, I think that was the 49ers that pushed that because of what happened to them in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Trey Lance rule. That's it then. Good. I'm glad that's what it's called. It's Trey Lance rule because he doesn't deserve to dress, but they don't want somebody, because he stinks. So
I was thinking it was the Purdy rule because he got injured, but yeah, you're probably right. It's actually probably more geared towards him.
Yeah, it is. Come on. So I guess they'll dress him or whatever just in case. But the thing we were talking about before the show about the receivers. The only guy that stood out really this week, Malik Heath, obviously 5 catches on 5 targets for 75 yards. It seemed like him and Sean Clifford worked well together.
Yes.
And by the way, I don't want to stray away. I thought Clifford played very well again.
Sure.
13 and 19, no touchdowns, but he just seems like he's comfortable. And I know they're playing against 2s and 3s or 4s or whatever, guys that aren't even going to, they won't make a practice squad, but it's still the level, I guess he just looks better than he has. And it seems like he's gotten better each week so far.
Oh, I agree.
So.
You also have to remember, like, he has a ton of college experience. I mean, he started every year he was at Penn State. So you would hope that would translate a little bit into some consistency playing in the preseason, which it has, which is great. Like I said last week, I feel a lot more confident about our QB2 situation than I did prior to the first preseason game. But the one thing I just can't get over is the center position. I feel like Packers Twitter is kind of torn right now as to whether Josh Myers' job is actually up for grabs right now. I feel like half of the people are saying like, oh, they're just kind of experimenting. God forbid if something happens or if Josh Myers kind of falls off a cliff. I think he already is starting to fall off a cliff, man. I mean, if you've been reading anything about what's been going on in practice and stuff, it's just constant messing up the snap. And it's like, dude, like that's your one most important job, right? Snap the ball and start blocking. And he's just like all these miscues with the snaps. And you saw it in the first quarter of the preseason, the preseason week 2. It's just, what is happening? He's like devolving as a player. And I could see, like, if I was putting like my predictor hat on, that he's probably going to start week 1 because that's what Matt LaFleur always does. He likes to start the veterans, and I don't know if that was a Rodgers thing or if it was his thing, but just
he let Amari Rodgers return punts for how many goddamn weeks?
True story. So that's why I'm saying I would not be surprised if Josh Myers is the starter week 1.
Yeah.
Although, if like he keeps playing like how he's been playing and messing up the snap, like, dude, we can't afford that. Not with a first-year starter as a quarterback. Like, we need to put him in the best position to succeed. I mean, John Runyon's taking snaps there. Zach Tom is taking snaps there.
Did John Runyon play center before Josh Myers? Why do I feel like John Runyon, or maybe it was just he was in like we went from Corey Linsley
right to Josh Myers.
For some reason I thought John Runyon, maybe he was just taking snaps there, and that's what.
Yeah, he definitely took snaps there in practice and in training camp and stuff.
Let Elton Jenkins play center. He can do it.
That's dude. You took the words right out of my mouth. He played center in college, and I'm like so shocked that nobody's ever thought of this. Like,
he played center when Lindsey got hurt.
Right. Yeah, he's played every position on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And he played center. Like, center was his position in college. I'm like, so I get it. So it just depends on what you think is more important. Is the center position more important, or is the guard position more important? I believe a lot more people think that the guard position is more important than center. So you would want to have your better players at guard as opposed to center. But
they got to do something. Like I said, Josh Myers looks like shit, and he hasn't got.
Yeah. If the ball gets snapped, it doesn't matter how good your guards are, or it doesn't get snapped.
Yeah. If you're spiking, if you're snapping the ball over the guy's head, it doesn't matter who the hell, I could be the goddamn left tackle.
Exactly. Yeah. The rest doesn't matter, man. You got to complete the snap. So, it kind of makes you wonder, if he's pulled, how does the offensive line look? Right. So we were talking about this with Andy 2 weeks ago. So you think, you put Zach Tom, like, I think Zach Tom is just too talented at tackle to move him to center. You know what I mean?
He's got to stay out there.
Yeah, he's more valuable at tackle than he is. Now, he may be an awesome center too, but again, the more important position is tackle, right? So then I would imagine John Runyon would move to center, and then you just got to figure out who your right guard is. And Sean Ryan played pretty well.
Did Sean Ryan play center? I feel like he played tackle and guard in college, didn't he?
He was a tackle in his last year. They drafted him to be a guard, but I believe he was getting snaps early in training camp at center as well. But I haven't seen him take any snaps at center since. I could be wrong on that. I'm not there, but Sean Ryan can play right guard, and then you just put John Runyon at center. Yep. And hopefully,
I don't know. It's a definite worry that. It's been a hell of a fall from grace from Corey Linsley. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah. I'm telling you, man, that's like one of those we're going to look back on it in a couple of years and being like, man, we shouldn't have moved on from him. There's been a number of those over the last decade, and I think Corey Linsley is just the latest example of that, because he's still pretty stout down in LA. He's obviously older or whatever, but I think they moved on from him too early. He was worth the money.
By the way, Carl Brooks, I thought he looked great too.
Oh yeah,
for a little bit. So it gave me some hope for our interior defensive line. That got me pretty excited.
absolutely.
Also, Durds hit the 52-yarder. That was great to see. I was pumped.
Yes. I was holding my breath, man.
Well, of course.
Yep.
The whole punter situation. What are we doing? Like, why is this guy still hanging out? Like, he's not taking Pat O'Donnell's job.
I think it's just like how they used to bring in people to compete with Mason Crosby over the years. And like, yeah, I don't know. I really don't.
No, I don't either. So there was something else. I guess as far as offensive line goes, there's not much. I guess maybe we'll get some more clarity this weekend.
Right.
I don't know who will play for Seattle. If they'll have all their guys out there or not. I guess Jamal Adams getting brought off the pup. I doubt he plays.
Yeah, I don't think
he's just a linebacker anyways. I don't think he's very good. So
definitely not worth 2 first-round picks.
No, not worth 2 third-round picks. So
dude, they fleeced them.
Yeah, that's weird for they usually are very smart about things, and that was a very odd deal in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems like they were just so desperate to try to recreate the defense that they had.
Yeah, well, he's not even a safety.
Right. Well, I mean, what Cam Chancellor was like an enforcer type safety.
Cam Chancellor's the reason Dick Sherman looked good. So, I mean, you can't even compare those guys. Cam Chancellor's one of the best safeties ever played the game.
I agree. He was unbelievable. And then when he retired, what was it, like a neck injury or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, he was like one of my favorite non-Packer players. Whenever I played Madden, I would always control him. Like he was like my great player.
So, I'm curious to see what happens. What they, I guess how long the ones play on Saturday too. Saturday. Sorry. Are they going to play a couple series or what? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I think honestly, I got the impression, this is just a feeling of mine, that the ones played a little bit longer than they had anticipated. I think because of the bad snap in the first drive, that Matt was like, screw it, we're sending him back out there again. Like I want it to, to finish a drive, and then they eventually did. They scored that touchdown to Jaden Reed or whatever. And I feel like he needed to see that before he pulled the ones off. The one thing I'm really looking forward to seeing in this next game is the battle at wide receiver, because it seems like, Malik Heath is really starting to pull ahead from all the other wide receivers on the depth chart. But Dontavian Wicks is a little banged up. Samori Toure, like you said, he's shown flashes or whatever, but he's in year 2. He's one of the only players on the team that isn't a rookie at the wide receiver position. So you'd hope he can at least have a strong game in this third game. And then Grant DuBose. Grant DuBose missed a lot. He was injured coming out of college, so he didn't go to OTAs and he missed the beginning of training camp. So he's been playing catch up. But, he has some big fans on Packers Twitter. There's some people who thought that taking him in the 7th round was insane because he should have gone way sooner. So, I mean, he had a pretty good catch. He looked pretty smooth and everything. So I was like, oh, man, like I kind of see it. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited to see Wicks, Toure, and DuBose, and to see eventually how many wide receivers this team is going to hold on to. Because if they hold on to 7, they can keep them all. But they only hold on to 6, who's the odd man out?
Yeah. Real quick, too, I want to talk about our Patreon. I was going to say it earlier. We're giving away a copy of Madden right now through our Patreon. So if you want to get a free copy of Madden, join our Patreon. I can't remember all the tiers right now. Shame on me. But for every tier you join or get, that's more entries into the drawing. It's going to be soon. Shit, why can't I remember the date? God, my brain's all scrambled up. Anyways, so DM me. I'll get you the actual details for it. But like I said, patreon.com/titles. Check that out. Join, even if it's the first tier, you're still getting an entry to get a free copy of Madden. So it's a pretty cheap, $1.50 to get a shot at a copy of Madden.
$70 game.
Yeah. So
yeah. We'll put it in the comment below the video.
Yeah. So, but like you're saying about the receivers, and we talked about this prior to the show. Again, I can't remember the year now that, we had 5 receivers on the team. And I think LaFleur is like normal. He likes to have 6 receivers, but there was a year we had 5, a year we had 7, and that could have been the last 2 years. I feel like we didn't have 7 last year though.
Right.
Anyways, it doesn't matter. So if we care, if they're only gonna have 2 running backs, but I think with the way the offensive line has been, I don't know if they'll be able to carry 7 receivers, especially if they're going to carry DeGuara, Musgrave, and Kraft, and that fullback who's still hanging out.
Yeah. I don't know.
And
I don't think we need to, because DeGuara, he's listed as a fullback now. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that. Okay, well then, yeah. So I don't know. I don't think any team in the history of NFL has ever carried 2 fullbacks. Maybe like back in the '60s,
right?
But yeah, we're not running the wing T, so probably don't need that.
Nope.
So I think you're right, though. I think the top 4, is, well, I don't know. Toure, I don't think would get picked off the practice squad if we carried 6 receivers and he was the odd man out.
That's interesting because Toure made the active roster last year.
Yeah, but I don't think he showed enough to make it. I don't think he looks very good at all. But I mean, to be honest, it's
that one sideline catch though.
Yeah, so one catch.
Oh, yeah, that was sweet. That was a really good catch.
But I don't know.
I'm an optimist though. It's just
I'm with you. I
always see the good in everything. It's my biggest folly.
I mean, I'd love to have the guy out there, but it was the same as last year. Remember the one good play he had where you thought him and Rodgers finally figured something out?
Where in the Buffalo game.
Yeah, and it was like, oh shit, maybe it's going to work, and then never again.
Never heard from him again.
So,
but you know what? Who knows? That could have been also a combination of Rodgers only wanting his guys out there. You know what I mean? Like we're going to find out this season just exactly how much Rodgers had control over last season. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I feel like that, in the 3 receiver sets, it's going to be Watson, Dobbs, and Reed. And I don't think
and it should be.
Yeah. And then you should have AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones on the field. Like we talked about, we can have 2 running backs on the field at the same time, like the Jets are going to. They're going to have Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook on the field at the same time. Believe it or not, you can do that. Yeah. You can have your best guys on the field. So I don't know. I mean, would you think they should carry 7?
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends. Because like with Bakhtiari and them taking it easy with him, like maybe having an extra offensive lineman there would be a good idea. You kind of want to do like an even split, but you also want to make sure that whoever you have is also contributing on special teams. So that's the one thing I haven't really been focusing on when it comes to the wide receiver group is how they're contributing in special teams. So that's really kind of going to decide like who's going to make this roster or not, because theoretically we shouldn't be throwing passes to wide receiver 4, 5, and 6. You know what I mean? If we are, it's because we've had devastating injuries to the position, Yeah. So if they are going to make the active roster, the way that they're going to do it is special teams, because like you said, we don't really go outside of having more than 3 wide receivers on the field at any given time,
I just hope whoever's on there can tackle, because there were a few runs by Ramondre Stevenson Saturday. Then I was like, apparently we just don't tackle anymore. So, and that was like supposed to be some of the good, like our starters in their defense. And it was like, oh, that's cool. Just go ahead, just rip off some big runs. No big deal. Like that's what we're used to though. You know what I mean? It's normal.
Right. So I heard somebody talking about this recently. It was an interesting point that they think that the way that they're developing this defense right now is that, because like, obviously look, every defense isn't going to stop every single offense, every single drive, right? Like we have to learn to live with the fact that defenses will let up yards. They will let up points. Every team scores. Yep. But I think they're not trying to focus so much on, having short yard gains, like all these runs that are 5 and 6 yard runs. They're not trying to turn them into 1 and 2 yard runs. They're trying to get into the backfield and make -2 and -3 yard runs. They're more interested in creating negative plays than stopping plays. You know what I mean? And you can see it kind of with how they drafted too, with all these penetration style defensive linemen. They're not drafting these big 330-pound nose tackles trying to eat up space to prevent holes from opening up. they're doing these 275-pound defensive linemen that are known for penetrating and getting into the backfield. So whether it's sacking the quarterback or creating a TFL, it seems like that's how that's like the vision for this defense. So you're going to have to live with the 6 and 7 yard runs or 10-yard runs, because the next first down, you might stop him in the backfield and get a negative 3-yard run. And now all of a sudden it's 2nd and 13, and they have to play a little bit more one-dimensional.
Yeah, I don't know. That just makes me nervous.
It makes me so nervous too. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
how many times last year was it? It's like 3rd and 14, and they, halfback draw, first down. It's like, are you
right?
Like,
yeah,
seriously?
because we saw it so much last year, and I'm just like, all right, if you guys want to do it,
I can't watch another year of giving up these like incredibly 3rd and long. Like, I'm not even watching the TV because it's like, here we go again.
Because everyone's playing back. All the receivers are like, they're playing.
We don't play press
yards
coverage
off the line of the corners are playing 14 yards off the line of scrimmage. I'm like, come on, guys, seriously. But apparently, they were talking about that in the offseason, that one of the things they want to start doing is, because they have these corners that play press man all the time, like that's how they excel. You know what I mean? They want to start getting up closer to the line of scrimmage. They want to start pressing more. They want to start playing more man coverage. And honestly, that's kind of like catering to your player's strengths. So obviously you can't live in man, you know what I mean? But I think playing it a little bit more often probably wouldn't hurt.
I hate Joe Barry.
Well, it's probably the last year of him. So
no, it won't. He won't.
You don't think so?
No,
every defensive coordinator here has been on the 3-year plan.
Yeah, he should have been on like the 3-week plan. He's garbage. Anyways, I get it, and it's great, but at the same time, you can't let a team average 6 yards a carry. No. I mean, look what happened against the Niners, 2 years ago in the NFC Championship?
Yeah. What was it, 10 passes? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing. That was like one, some games are like hard to watch. That game was hard to watch.
Yeah, they had 200 yards before contact.
It was unbelievable.
I mean,
it was like flashbacks to the 2012 game against the 49ers too.
Yeah.
And Colin Kaepernick just running all over the field. It was so hard to watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You looking forward to anything else from this next game?
I am looking forward to I guess it's a Seahawks deal, but to see what they'll do without Smith and Jigba. It's kind of a shame he got surgery today.
Yeah, I saw that.
As I say today, this is Tuesday. So when this releases Thursday, it'll be 2 days out of surgery. Said should be good to go for week 1.
That's what I saw too.
And he's electrifying, and that receiving core will be fun to me. I got my K-State shirt on for Jordy Nelson or Tyler Lockett, whatever. So I've always liked to watch those guys and to see if they have a running back room that can stay healthy in Seattle. Seems like every year that's not how things go. But again, same with that punter's going to hang out. And as far as Durs go, if he can, stay steady Eddie, 2 extra points and a field goal last week. That's promising, especially a 52-yarder.
Yeah, it was great.
You like to see that.
Right down the middle too.
Yep.
I was like proud of you, Durs. I'm proud of you.
A lot of tweets I've been getting or reading this week. It seems like Love has been cooking in practice. So look for that to continue.
I said you just need to shake the cobwebs off,
Did you see the side-by-side video of him and Rodgers and the same play throwing it to Devontae and Jaden Reed?
I did. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was kind of weird, but looks pretty similar.
Well, that's what Love said, right? They said, how's the offense going to be different with you at the helm? He was like, it's not going to be. The plays are the plays, man. He's like, I can run this offense. And that was like the perfect example of it. It's like they literally ran the same play.
That 3-step drop and that like dart throw. I'm like, I had to double take. I was like, what the? It kind of threw me off. So.
Dude, there's so many times where you look at his stance and his throwing motion and you're like, okay, he was clearly practicing like Aaron Rodgers for a while. Like he was like, oh man, which I don't blame him. You know what I mean? Like try to emulate greatness, and clearly having this quarterback coach that Rodgers is such a huge fan of, him sticking around and developing Jordan Love has clearly made a huge difference, because Rodgers used to say, he used to praise him about his footwork and saying that he owes everything, all of his footwork, to that guy. Oh, who's the Packers quarterback's coach?
I knew you were going to ask me that. It was at the tip of my tongue, and I can't.
Tom Clements. Yeah, he was obviously the quarterback's coach for a long time with Mike McCarthy, but when McCarthy got fired, they waited a couple of years, and then Rodgers asked for Tom Clements to come back. I was actually kind of scared that Clements would go with him to the Jets, but I'm really happy that he stuck around to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Because I think Jordan Love is clearly benefiting from it.
Oh, without a doubt. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited, for it all. And it's like a noon game. It feels like normal, besides it's Saturday. So,
we are Randall Cobb amount of days away from NFL Week 1, which is Tuesday. So when you're watching this, it'll be 16 days away.
Which is somebody else wears 18 now. Another guy, I can't think of who it is.
Isn't it Malik Heath?
Yep, you're right. We're Malik Heath days away.
Yeah, buddy.
Hell yeah. Emmanuel Wilson's on number 16. I don't know why I thought he was, but anyways, thank you for tuning in.
O'Donnell, our punter.
Yeah, that's right.
There we go.
Little salty dog. He's the only guy, the oldest guy.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in. We will have a second episode releasing this week. Thursday night, we're recording another one. A great episode. It'll be a lot of fun. So we will be back next week after the last preseason game. Then we'll have a little bit of a lull till the season starts. But check out all our stuff on YouTube, like I said earlier, toiletstyles.com. Check out the show on Twitter at toiletstyles. You can find myself at Nate_Dirt19. You can find Bobby at Bobby A Winner. DM us about the Gilded. We'll get you in there. Check out the shows. Give us a like and follow on YouTube as well. So thanks again, and we will see you all next week.